Charot. Okay. Hello. Hello to everyone and welcome to welcome to Huni sa Balay, a guide. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Huni sa Balay, a guide to home producing, and I am your host or host ba? I don't know, but I am your speaker for today. My name is Richmond Peguera. But before anything else, no, I just wanna thank you guys sa mga naminaw karon og especially sa nag-invite sa kuha sa mga organizers, sila Rayan, sila Earl, and sa uban pa. I'm so sorry, wala ko ka balo sa wala ko kaila sa uban. Pero again, thank you so much for inviting me to be a speaker for your event. I think your event is very helpful. It's very exciting pod because I've never heard of an event that talks about film and music at the same time pod. Especially with music production in general. No, so I am again, I'm very flattered. I'm very honored to be part of your event, and I'm so excited nga nadaghan jud kay kog ma-share sa inyo karon adlaw guys. So I hope to everyone who's listening right now na may matun-an sa kuha, and yeah, let's begin. No, so let me just introduce myself for a bit. Sige, so let me just introduce myself for a bit. So again, my name is Richmond Peguera and I go by the artist name Richmond. Richmond na siya, di na siya Rixmond. Jijimon na kayo. So, and I am a student from the University of Immaculate Conception, taking up Bachelor of Music major in Music Education with classical guitar concentration. And I will be graduating in less than 2 months from now, karong June. So, please wish me luck unta mag-graduate na jud. And I'm also a singer-songwriter, musician and arranger, and also sa mga naminaw karon, mga aspiring pod, I'm also a bedroom producer. So makarelate jud mo sa kuha, and I've released 2 singles so far back in 2020. So unya na ako i-plug later na siya. So I am also a vocal percussionist or beatboxer of Davao's premier vocal group P Square. So that's my a cappella group here in Davao, and we have participated in ABS-CBN's Your Moment back in 2019. So we were able to perform twice on the show. And lastly, I am one of the top 5 finalists for the recent Minpop 2022 with my song Di Kasabot. Ayan, so you can find that on Spotify. So that's about it about me, no? So kung what's my favorite color? My favorite color is red. What's my favorite drink? Iced coffee. And I don't know. I don't know what else. No. So sige. So before I talk about the technicalities of this whole talk, you know, I just wanna say some things. I just wanna put them out there before I actually begin. No, basig na lang may assumptions. And the first is disclaimer lang. No, I'm not a professional. No, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not qualified to talk about this topic. You know, when I say that I'm not a professional, it generally means that I don't have the formal education when it comes to music production. You know, I may have a music education degree, but that doesn't necessarily cover the scope of music production. I mean, naaman min music technology na subject, but it's not really enough for us to learn like how to really produced at a very professional level, so it's just one of the things na appeal siya sa mong curriculum. But what I can say is I am rich in experience, and I have been taught. I have a lot of mentors that I have known in this journey of mine, no, especially sa mga very talented o very mga bigatin kay nga producers diri sa Davao pod. So I'm very blessed to be at the point where I want to be, and again, I'm so excited to share to you guys kung sa man ako na experience o kung sa ako natunan. All right. So another thing is I don't have a full-blown studio. So I'm saying this because basig na ay misunderstood, basig na ay mamaliog sabot about this talk na basig I'm gonna be talking about how to make a studio at home. No, so I'm just gonna clarify and say no, I'm not gonna do that. Kung sa akong pagsabot manggod sa kaning talk is that the purpose of this talk is to enable you guys to use the minimal amount of equipment but still be able to produce very satisfying output, very impactful music, and overall daghan mo ma-produce, diba? And that's why I'm so flattered na invite ko diri, because I do just that. I do exactly that. I only have a few things here in my home, pero I have the courage to release songs, to make a lot of projects, and yeah, again, I'm so thankful nga gi-invite ko diri, no. So yun, that's about it for my disclaimers. Unta kanang masabtan ko ninyo from the beginning pa lang, you know. So before we actually talk about the technicalities, no, I'm so sorry. Before we talk about the technicalities of our topic for today, of course, I'm gonna ask you guys these questions. So I just want to evaluate you guys. Okay, so first is, why do you want to produce? What's your purpose for producing? So it can be a multitude of things. Maybe you want to produce because you want your original songs to be materialized. Great, that's great. Kamo bahala if gusto na ninyo. Maybe you want to produce because you have a band. You have a band and kanang mahal kayo mag-recording studio. Then that's great as well. Of course, maybe you want to produce because gusto niyo maswito. Then why not? It's any kind of reason, and it's what's important is you do you. As long as you have a purpose for recording, purpose for producing, and that's what jumpstarts the experience. Okay, so next is, for whom or for what is your need to produce? Sorry, let me just check the slides. For whom or for what is your need to produce? Is it for yourself or for others? So again, this can be tied to the first question also. Is it for yourself? Is it for your original songs? Is it for your band? Is it for your band? Is it because you want to earn money? You can produce for other people naman pod, it's a business, pwede po siya mahimong business. And why is this question important? Because you have to know from the beginning palang daan, kaya para daghan mo consider, diba? So for example, if you just want to produce for yourself, for your original songs, then it will probably take you like gamay lang kayo na effort para mag-invest in the equipment and the knowledge that you need. Pero if you're gonna produce for either for others or for your band or for others' bands, that would mean a whole different situation, because of course, kailangan pa nimo experience, kailangan niyo i-consider ang experience sa uban. It's not your experience anymore, it's the experience of uban, og unsaon niyo pag-translate it into something that's meaningful for them and at the same time for other people. So I hope masabtan ko sa nga nga point. Next is, what kind of space do you have? Is your space suitable for recording? I think what I mean by this is that is your space parang acoustically treated. Now, I'm not saying this because mine is acoustically treated din. No, I mean, I have concrete walls here, so meaning the sound will bounce all over the damn room, 'di ba? And it will create reverb. But what I mean by this is, do you have a space or do you have a place where it is free of distractions, free of unnecessary noises, na maka-record mo without pain? Pain yun actually mag-record. So yun, so for example, kaning aircon na ako diri, I guess madungog ninyo diri sa mic. That's a big no-no, pero I need it because it's so igang here. And you know, maybe kanang namoy iro sa gawas or mga manok or kanang mga sakyan ng moagi sa atbang sinubalay, you know, something like that. So what I did back then, manggod, I used to stick my head in to a cabinet, kanang butangan na ako sa nina nga cabinet, and then with my mic din nga kanang gikan sa earphones, and then I just sing inside that cabinet. And I'm not saying na it's ang result is good, pero it was something na ni-improve sa akong sound. And yun, you know, kanang it's just one of those little things na inyong maisip. Pero so you can make a makeshift booth where you cover your entire place with kanang blankets, you know, this entire spot sa inyong microphone para dili mag-bounce ang sound. So discarte, you know, stuff like that. And last but not the least, are you willing to invest? Dato ba mo? De joke lang. When I mean invest man good, when I think about investments, it's of course dapat long term siya. Pero with music production man good, you don't necessarily have to think of investing right now. Like for example, if some of you there nagahuna-huna mo nga, wow, this is so exciting. Mag-ipon ako, mangayo ko kwarta nga dapat makapalit ko yung aning ana. No, dili siya necessarily yung ana. No. I remember I started way back junior high school pa jud ko, and I used to record with just a digital camera, you know. Kay kabalo man ko mo convert og video to audio. So record ko a cappella stuff without a metronome, without I guess mura kog perfect pitch dati nga kabalo ko sa key pero dili good. Pero yun, tapos i-extract na ko ang audio ato nga mga videos, akong multi-track na ko sa Audacity. It sounded so bad back then, pero nalingaw ko. It's how I learned. Na ato din ang process, 'di ba? Kay wala man ko gitudloan dati. So ana siya. So what I mean by investment is think of the long terms, 'di ba? So of course ako karon naka-invest ko with my condenser microphone, naka-invest ko with my software, with my audio interface, and until karon nagamit gyapon ako siya. It's because I was thinking of the long-term effects pag mag-invest ko ani gamit. And I'm not necessarily saying dapat mahal jud ka inyong gamit. No, it's not that. Kanang just some stuff that you think is good for you as a beginner, diba? Wala pa man ko yung nga mic dati. Wala pa ko audio interface dati. I only had that BM800. Katungong gold ang yung ulo na condenser mic. Nahalang ko yung ato. And believe me or not, I released a song, my first single, using that mic without an audio interface. So that's for another story. Pero yeah, yun. So all of these questions, I assume na-answer na ninyo, no, in your heads. And how do you actually get started? You know, how do you actually get started with the whole music production thing? And of course, dili na ako na yung sugarcoat. We're not gonna start with the software dayon, you know. I don't want you guys nga mabigla mo nga mo jump din ta sa software but not actually knowing how to get there first. You know, it's a journey, and a shortcut isn't always a good thing, di ba? So of course, first do your research. And when I say do your research, it basically means research about the music that you want to make and how people make them and what kind of components are they made of, diba? And it's important for you to know that. It's because when you start to produce music, of course you're gonna have a genre, diba? Like for example, ako, uh, I started with a cappella music, diba? So of course nag-research ko unsa may components aning a cappella music, and I always listen to pentatonics, diba? So lima raman sila pentatonics. So what were they comprised of? SATBB. Ang isa ka B kay beatbox, di ba? So yun, those are the components of pentatonics. So kato akong gusto i-emulate. How do they arrange their harmonies? How do they harmonize their harmonies? Kung giunsa nila pag just do how they do it, 'di ba? And it's not necessarily a bad thing to copy, but just don't copy blatantly, 'di ba? Just sundugan lang sila. Sundugan lang ilang style. Basically, yung ana. And this leads me to my second point, Manggod. Listen to music. It's important for us to listen to the music that we want to make, kay that's where we get our inspiration, Manggod, basically. When it comes to technicalities, that's where we get the ideas for arrangements. That's where we get ideas for what's it called? Ideas for the mix. Saan nila pag-mix nga kanta. That's where we get the idea for saan na to pag kanang sundog jud, like ana jud, it's important for us to train our ears, Manggod, para kabalo taon saan pag emulate sa ato ang ginasundugan, and I think sundog is a very harsh word, but let me use reference. So it's important for us to listen to the music that we want to make, kay mo magud jud nga atong reference, di ba? We use them as references, and because of that we're able to emulate it into our own production. Okay, so unta makasabot mo na. Next is choose your DAW. DAW is a digital audio workstation, and it's basically a software where we do all of these things, music production. Yeah. So why is it important for you to choose a DAW? It's because different DAWs have different features, and basig some of the features may mapabor sa inyo, ha, di ba? And it's important for you to research different kinds of DAWs, like different kinds of software, because basig na features sa isa ka software nga wala dere, or basig na features sa isa ka software na ganahan ninyo nga wala pud sa uban, di ba? And it's important for you to do that because it will greatly affect how you produce the music that you want to produce. Okay, so for example, if you want to produce EDM music, what's the best software out there? FL Studio ba? Ableton Live ba? Logic Pro ba? It's up to you to decide. Basta kay mag-research lang ka, di ba? Like unsa man ang mga features na inyong mas ganahan, di ba? Or mas you think nga mas helpful, di ba? Daghan ka na sa YouTube, guys. Ipadulong gyapon ta mo sa YouTube. Like how we were ipadulngan sa YouTube gyapon. Yeah. So muna siya. So let's proceed to the last question, which is diri ko mag-start sa pag-atong discussion for this topic, with the technicalities. And of course, lastly is equipment. Of course, I guess na-mention ako kaganina na, or wala, but equipment doesn't always matter, pero it's the features of these equipments are essential for production. So we're gonna be talking about the 4 boxes here: computer, speakers or headphones, microphones, hardware, and software. Ayan. So of course, let's start with computer. So computer, Mac or Windows, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Kani minimum requirements diri nga akong gi-list is applicable to all DOS. So you take time to read it and stuff, screenshot if you want. Ako lang maingon is, I guess if you have a little bit of budget pa dira, go for at least 16 gigabyte of RAM and maybe a higher type of processor, like okay nabe i8, i8 I guess, or 5.5 gigahertz, something like that, and patas-an na imong internal storage, 500 to 1 TB SSD, something like that. And actually mas important pud ang RAM ug ang processor. Why is it important? It's because DOS have their own internal CPU level monitoring, and a higher CPU usage usually means na maglag jud ang imong computer. Most of the time that happens when you have a lot of tracks playing together at the same time in one project, and each of those tracks na pud kay lahi-lahi nga effects or same na effects na nag-work together. Basically, it takes all of your CPU usage, and mo nang reason nga na mag-lag. So it's important, I guess, to have slightly high-end na RAM, slightly high-end na processor para, of course, if ambisyoso kayo mo sa inyong production, dili mo maglisod, di ba? Smooth gyapon yung workflow. Alright, so next is speakers. So studio monitors are important. You can see them usually sa mga professional recording studios, and even ka ng mga home pod nga mga studios, especially the KRK Rocket studio monitors, kani sila pinaka popular jud. Of course, if nalang sa inyong budget, no, last time na ko gitan-aw, the price is probably around 15k. I'm not even sure kung isa ra naka speaker or duha naka pair, diba? So if only lang kung naamoy kwarta, but if wala man galing and you need speakers, you can always go for speakers, jud. Just avoid hi-fi speakers or high fidelity speakers, because the difference between high fidelity speakers and studio monitors is that high fidelity speakers are designed to enhance audio frequencies. They are designed to boost or enhance audio levels, and basically mugapo ang labas sa inyong music. And why is that a bad thing for us producers? It's because maatik mongud ta into thinking, so for example, you're mixing a song for the first time, mulabas siya sa high fidelity speakers, matingal mo, hala, naisa sa labas, uy, naisa sa gawas sa whole mix, uy. And that's a bad thing, because maatik mo nga, nice na ang mix. And mix during the first time is always not good, di ba? Mixing is always trial and error, so dili pwede nga maatik ta. That's why studio monitors are important, because they don't enhance sound levels, they don't boost all of these things. And what studio monitors do is that they just keep all the frequencies that is from your DAW, making it very easier for you to spot mga anomalya sa inyong mix, and making it easier for you to mix, diba, in general. So yun, if wala man galing dyan may kwarta for studio monitors or speakers in general, headphones are a way to go. Mo ni siya akong ma-recommend kanitulo. These are not just random nga nakita na ko sa internet, pero I actually have used them before pod in recording studios, especially kanang Sennheiser and Samson, na gamit na ko ni sila sa recording studio back dati. Actually bago lang. And kaning Audio Technica is, I had a friend, I used this sa akong friend, and these headphones are designed for mixing audio, so good thing, it's a good thing. Pero if galing wala jud moy kwarta for kaning headphones or speakers, I guess what I can recommend you guys is kaning mga ear monitor type earphones. I can't really say anything like significant about them, pero for me, mo ni akong ginagamit pang mix, and I don't have any problem so far. Like madungog na ko kung asa ko nagmali, madungog na ko kung asay naglabaw, kung asa ang nalubong in the mix, and budget friendly. I'm not sure kung saan nga brand, ZSN Pro, something like that, pero makita rin niyo sa Shopee, daghan kayo siya. So yun, these are just options. I'm not encouraging you to really buy these things, pero again, options. Next would be microphones. I love talking about microphones actually because I'm so into vocal production. Pero let's settle this debate. Condenser mics versus dynamic mics. I'm not gonna be talking about other microphones. Kay home recording lang man home producing lang man so we don't need ribbon microphones. We don't need mga shotgun mics. No, we don't need that. So first, condenser mics. So condenser microphones often tend to be much more effective at capturing the detail in performances and offer more overall clarity when compared to dynamic microphones. And why is this? It's because the components mong good of a condenser microphone should be electrically charged, and the way to do that is to apply what we call phantom power, which is basically 48 volts of electricity into the condenser microphone para mugana siya. And in turn, that's what makes them very that's what makes them very sensitive, the sound. And yeah, madungog jud siya. Like if madungog ninyo ang samok sa aircon, madungog jud siya because madungog man siya, 'di ba? So yun, and that's why condenser microphones are always used put in the studio because recording raw is important. Na dapat guwapo pa lang sa raw pa lang daan klaro na kayo, diba? I'm so sorry yun sa aircon. I'm not sure kung unsay nadra sa sulod, but anyway, next is dynamic mics. So katong handheld na mga mics na ginagamit nato sa stage, diba? So dynamic mics, they aren't really that like useful during recording compared to condenser mics. It's because they don't really need phantom power pod. Isaksak lang ninyo sa amp or sa mixer and mugana na siya, something like that. But they are very strong, durable. Like kung kapila pa na malumping imong sure SM58, like iyang ulo ma-brain damage na, mugana gyapon imong mic. And surprisingly, that's why ginagamit siya sa stage kanang mga live performances. It's because they can handle high sound pressure levels, so mo na siya. Actually, I have tried recording a song with a dynamic mic. I have tried. It's not as good as a condenser mic, pero I managed to pull it off. Gamay lang siyang mix. Madala siya gamayng noise gate, madala siya gamayng EQ, gamayng reverb, ug mura na siya condenser mic ang quality. So actually, yeah, mo na siya. So let me recommend you some condenser mics, of course. So kaning mga mics diri nga nyo kita is nagamit na ako ni siya. Okay, kanin sa condenser microphones. So Audio Technica 80-2020, I had a friend use this. Actually ginagamit pa niya hantod karon when she sends me recordings, And the second would be the SE Electronics X1A, which is the one that I'm using right now. The SE dili ninyo siya makita, of course, kay gamay ka pong microphone. But this is the one that I use right now. The only downside of this is that maka-pick up siya og very high frequencies, and when I try to mix manggod my vocals, very sharp kaya mga S's and mga Z's and mga something like that. So medyo lisod kay siya, pero I love it nonetheless. And of course, if wala dyan may kwarta, draa, you can always go for the BM800. Kaning gold ang ulo, diba? And mo dyan ni ang starter pack sa mga streamers back in 2020. So, diba? Uso kayo siya dati. But I'm not gonna say nga it's bad. It's actually a pretty good starter mic, and you can yeah, I recorded my first single with this, and may bala na ninyo unsa if i-stock ko ninyo, charos. Bitaw, next is dynamic microphone. Gamay lang ako ma-recommend. First is kaning Shure SM58, which is all over the world. Mo dyan yung ginagamit na dynamic mic actually, no. So kung asa mo mga adto, kung sino gigamit nila sa mga mag-perform on stage, or maski ikaw mag-perform ka on stage, SM58 na nga sure, diba? Because they are so reliable. Actually, mo po na akong gigamit nga mic katong nag-record ko sa isa ka song. And last but not least, the SM7B na Shure. Surprisingly, this is a dynamic mic. This is not a condenser mic. Wala po kagamit ani personally, and this is recommended pod sa mga mga podcasts, o actually mga home recordings pod actually. You know, I mean, kita mo tong home record lang ni Nikki katong everyday summertime. Wala ko kabala tong kanta, pero yun, summertime na kanta mo na yung gamit na mic, you know. So yeah, whatever. So let's move on. Next is hardware and software. Ayan, so let's start with the hardware muna, no. So audio interface. So an audio interface is a bridge between you and your DAW. Like for example, your microphones and your DAW, and it will ang kalabasan pod gikan sa DAW is through the audio interface padulong pod sa imo in the form of kanang sa headphones, parang ganyan. So an audio interface sits between your computer and external devices like microphones or studio monitors. It's the go-between that translates audio signals from a microphone into digital data that can be understood by your computer, and vice versa pod. Kung unsa inyong i-play sa inyong DAW, mulabas ra pod, moagi ra pod gikan sa inyong audio interface og padulong sa inyong headphones, ana siya. So why is it important for us to have an audio interface? So before manggod, diba, I keep mentioning nga I have recorded and released a song using a BM800 but without an audio interface. Akong gibuhat mo dati is kato siya nga mic, gi-direct ako siya sa laptop, you know, and mo na siya kong gigamit jud, like for guitar and bass and vocals, mo na siya kong gigamit pang record ato nga song. And I spent around 6 months trying to mix that one, and then released it in 2020 September. So yun, I still think it sounds pretty good until today. With that kind of equipment na akong gamit. But why did I buy an audio interface after that song nga nakaya man din ako wala? It's actually because of a multitude of reasons, you know. So one reason is that the laptop manggod, it's designed, this jack, it's designed for video calls. It's designed for kanang very low quality na audio, ana lang jud, and it's not that good in receiving sound signals from your microphone pod. And why is that? Because of this thing that we call latency. Latency is basically a delay. It's a small delay that occurs between, like for example, me talking into the mic padulong sa computer, like naka direct plug in lang dito sa computer, and lisod man gud na siya. With high latency is so difficult to record because you can't record in real time. You know, dili man jud ninyo mabana-bana ang tempo o ang chord progression or whatsoever na inyong gi-recordan nga song, diba? So mo nang kinahanglan nato og audio interface para mas ma-lessen or completely mawala jud ang latency. Ana good. Kay ano man good, if you use a mic directly sa computer, like if you plug them in directly to the computer, it's because computers can't really do things instantly, you know, and they need a small amount of time to convert and process those analog and whatever signals. So mo nang high latency, and with the audio interface it just boosts that process, diba? So karon akong pag story ani nga mic, which is naka-plug in sa akong audio interface, in real time siya because tama ko audio interface. Pero nakasaksak ni sa akong computer mismo, ang audio, ang microphone, mo late yun siya, no? So na siya delay, which is such a big no-no for musicians, no? Kay mawala jud ta sa timing, ana. So next kind of hardware, ayan, so mo na ko ma-recommend na audio interfaces. Of course, the infamous Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen, which is the one that I have right now. You know, so na siya duha ka channels dira sa inyo nakitaan, napod siya duha ka gain levels for those channels. Makapili pod mo kanang nasa babaan ng duha ka pislitanan. Makapili mo if ang inyong gisaksak dira is for instrument or for vocal. So na-inst and na-air. Basically, it just boosts the gain. And, you know, makapili lang dyan mo. And also, what's nice about this third generation nga Scarlett is that naa siya two types of direct monitor. One is kanang mono lang ang sound, like one sound lang, or stereo. So madungog ninyo ang from both different like different signals coming from the two different channels, good. So mo na siya. And of course, it has a built-in nga phantom power. Ang problema lang maguna ni Scarlett 2i2 is that wala siya MIDI interface. So dili ko makasaksak dra og USB MIDI, diba? But actually that's fine kay akong MIDI keyboard pwede na ako isaksak directly sa akong computer. It works either way. So okay lang siya sa kuha. Next is the M Audio Air 1924, and mo ni ako nakitaan atong guy na akong gipangayuan og Ableton sa una. It looks very cool actually. Silver tong iyang model. It feels like basta nice ni siya nga product, you know. So napod siya mga LED level indicators, kaning mura siya kanang basta choy ka siya tan-awon ana jud. And napod siya low noise crystal preamp. So mawala na dyan yung noise, ana. Ayun. So next is the Behringer Euphoria UMC 202 HD. So ayan, so even at a low price, this kanang nasa kilid sa Focusrite kanang black, this has two XLR and TRS kay kanang kuan, it's a type of kanang plug combo inputs with a 48 phantom power switch, parang ganyan. Ayun, and it will convert your it has a conversion of 24-bit and a sample rate of up to 192 kilohertz, making you record very high quality audio, you know, from this interface. And last but not least, the PreSonus Audiobox i1 is a very small, mo siya Bible, no? Kadako, pero it has only one 2x2 interface, one XLR output and one TRS input, kana naadra kanang gamay nga buslot ana siya. It's one of the most straightforward pod na interfaces kay dali ra pud siya, you know, dali ra pud kayo siya igamiton, isa ra pud kabuok imong channel. And yun, it's mostly used for Apple devices, which is very useful, especially kung naamoy app sa inyong iPad na maka-record mo og audio daw pod sa iPad. So yun, those are some audio interfaces that I can recommend. Next on the hardware list are MIDI controllers. Ayan, so MIDI controllers are bridge the gap between computer and musical instrument, letting you play and control the sounds and virtual instruments within your DAW much more effectively. So there are many different controller designs: keyboards to play notes, jump pads to trigger samples, sliders and dials to control audio effects. Now, I'm not so sure if some of you guys have seen a MIDI controller, but a MIDI controller is it basically looks like a piano, diba? But I want you guys to understand that MIDI controllers are not pianos. They are just controllers, and you can use them to trigger certain kinds of instruments, diba? And how do you do that? It's through what we call virtual instruments, and we'll be talking about that in a while, diba? So MIDI controllers are um instruments, of course. Instruments gid sila, but they don't actually create sound for itself by itself. No, kinahanglan jud siya magsalig sa computer og sa do. Kinahanglan jud siya ma-plug in sa imong computer og moagi pod sa isa ka virtual instrument, because if wala yung ana, dili na mo tingog ang inyong MIDI controller. And a very versatile MIDI controller will let you trigger not only virtual instruments but also samples pod, like for example mga drum samples ninyo, labi na ka ng mga drum pads and stuff like that, and a MIDI controller helps you create MIDI tracks, and we will talk about MIDI in a while, so ayun. So it's a piano, but its purpose is not to produce sound. It will just send MIDI data into your DAW para ma-translate niya into sound through your virtual instrument na plug-in. Okay? So I will recommend you some MIDI controllers. So first is the Akai MPK Mini, the most common in the market. Gamay ra kay siya, kung makita ninyo, gamay siya nga gamay ra kay ang keys, gamay ra pud siya. Actually, wala ko MIDI controller yun. Pero gamay ra kay siya, and it has drum pads. You can map your kick drums, your kick drum, your snare, your hi-hats, your cymbals there para mag-ana tug stacks, mag-ana-ana lang mo, di ba? So next is the Arturia Minilab MK2. Actually, someone's wanted me to buy this, pero wala pa kay kwarta ato nga time kay nagtrabaho pa ko sa recital. If available pa siya karon, maybe ako siyang paliton. Pero again, kung makita ninyo sa iyahang interface, napod siya drum pads, napod siya mga sliders and all, Ayan. So last but not least, the M Audio Keystation 61 MK3. So kani siya, pili na ko na siya nga i-recommend sa inyo because maybe naa sa inyo nangita og MIDI controller na pinapiano. 'Di ba? Pinapiano. And actually ginagamit na ni Charlie Puth, no? Kani siya na keyboard, kanang nalang siya sa atubangan siyang Mac, no? And it just works, it just works, and basig kulangan pud mo sa kanang Akai og Arturia. So if gusto jud ninyo magtugtog-tugtog og mga daghan kay nga chords nga di mo problema, diba, kinahanglan dagad dapat moabot jud dito dapat moabot jud dito ang octaves, diba, sa inyong instruments. But yeah, yun, I don't really know the price of these, but I guess they are less than $200, something like that. Pero para na sa inyo kung ma-afford ninyo. Alright, so let's move on to software. Ayan, so finally we are in the digital audio workstation. So this is the software that sits at the heart of modern music production, letting you record, arrange, edit, mix, and master your music. So self-explanatory. Kung wala mo do, what's the purpose of this whole workshop, diba? Something like that, diba? So that's why I told you guys kaganina nga, it's important for you to research about the DAW that you want to use para makorelate ninyo sa music that you want to make, diba? So ako, experience na ko with DAWs is dili na ko first ang FL Studio, pero I did try it out. It was so hard for me. Like, lisod ka siya tun-an for a number of reasons. Like, for example, naglisod ko about aning mixer. Like, kinahanglan separate yun ang mixer. Like, separate screen. Og poor man ko, dili man ko maka-afford og separate screen. So, maglisod ko. Another thing is, maglisod po ko og butang og audio effects sa akong track. Another thing is, maglisod pud ko og automate sa mga effects. Like, kanang pababaon akong filter or kanang change tempo whatsoever, maglisod ko lisod kayo na siya. That's why I upgraded to Ableton. Kay kung asa ko naglisod sa FL Studio, mas nasayo na noon ko sa Ableton Live. Plus napa yung mga uban features na wala sa Ableton Live. Ay wala sa FL Studio kumbaga. Sorry, lutang na kayo. Pero yun, I am learning how to use Logic Pro now. Basta learning how to use Logic Pro because I'm gonna be working for a recording studio there sa Davao, and it's important for me to really study that software para pag ako na pud ang mag-record for other clients, at least kabalan ako. Good. So it's all a matter of exploring, guys. It's all a matter of exploring. I'm not here para magbuot kung unsa nga klase nga audio interface ang inyong dapat gamiton, pero the use of DAWs magod is actually very amazing because digital na magod karon, and nganong daghan na kaayo ang bedroom producers karon. And even that term bedroom producers are kanang murag na-coin na siya nga term. Kaya nga naman, it's because digital audio workstations are within reach naman good. Within reach na siya. Not like sa una nga, you have to really work hard for you to have a studio recorded song. Kaya sa una, dili pa digital sa una. So, a little bit of history lesson for everyone. The first ever DAW that was released was called Soundstream, and it was the first ever digital audio recorder, and it was released in 1977, diba? So it featured a tape drive and analog to digital converters. It had built-in commands for crossfades and splices, and an attached terminal for displaying the waveform. So yun, that was released in 1977. So man mga kanta nga ni chart at ng 1977. I was thinking Hotel California by Eagles, Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder, the Star Wars theme that was back in 1977, and Somebody to Love by Queen. And I guess it's not really necessary nga, I guess it wasn't really used agad-agad, but Soundstream wasn't just the only parang DAW na release. No, eventually in the late 1980s, na release ang Sound Tools, which was eventually the predecessor for which was eventually called Pro Tools. And then in the mid 1990s, Cubase developed VSTs, or the virtual instruments that I'm gonna be talking about in a while. So just a little bit of history lesson for everyone. So muna na siya, guys. Alright, so with the softwares that I'm gonna be recommending to you, so you can just take a screenshot of this. So of course na diri sa left ang mga bigatin na makita ninyo sa recording studios. Logic Pro is only for Apple products, unfortunately. So yun. And honorable mentions na diri sa left, sa right side. Adobe Audition, I recorded a song there once. Nag-record lang ko, wala ko nagamit yun, pero I guess it's okay. It's not my cup of tea. BandLab is a collaborative online digital audio workstation gapon. Like dara mo mag-record o mag-share with your friends in one session. Good. GarageBand, some of my friends use this para mag-send sa ilahang audio na needed for an acapella project. Yun. Mixcraft Pro is what I used back then, and I used that to orchestrate mga kanta sa misa. Yeah, okay, nice guys lang mga virtual instruments. Labi ng orchestra. And last but not least, Audacity, which is everyone's go-to sound recorder. Good, like for podcasts and covers. I don't know, something like that. So yun. Alright, so let's proceed, no? Let's proceed to virtual instruments. Ayan, this is my favorite. Okay, so virtual instruments. So these are software programs that emulate the sound of characteristics of real musical instruments and are played using a computer. So diri na mo abot ang importance sa MIDI controller, because without MIDI controllers dili ninyo magamit to the fullest potential ang inyong virtual instruments, diba? So mag-demonstrate ko. Okay, mag-demonstrate ko karon. Let me just switch my screen muna. Okay, so I guess makita na niyo ang Ableton Live. What I have here, there is sa taas. Let me delete these tracks. What I have here is a MIDI track, and kanina there sa baba is nagbutang ko og Rhodes piano. Okay, so I'm gonna be playing piano here. Medyo dili niyo siya makita. Sige, ako na lang siya ibaba be. Okay, ayaw lang kay. So sorry, hugaw kay kong room. Pero yeah, I'm gonna be playing one of Ableton Live's built-in virtual instruments, which is a Rhodes piano na akong gi-play pod in the beginning. So let me play char. Medyo kabalo ko mong piano. Ana good no. So of course dili lang ko makapili og if you look diri sa my left side na ako'y mga different kinds of virtual instruments that is built in diri sa Ableton Live. So let's let's pick a bass sound. Ayan. Let's pick this one. So if mag-play ko, so I'm using a MIDI controller right now para ma-emulate ako ang sound sa ing ato nga bass, na kind of bass sound. And it doesn't really have to be parang analog instrument na like a real bass guitar, pero as long as these are built-in sounds mong good from Ableton, and having so much fun with this, makahimo jud mo masking unsa nga type of songs, you know. So let me demonstrate to you guys one last instrument. Let me pick Moonpluck, a guitar virtual instrument. So so, di ba? It's playing with virtual instruments is very basta lingaw kay siya, you know, because endless possibilities. Ganyan. All right, so let's proceed to the to the presentation. So ayan guys. So moto siya ang virtual instruments. And of course, tama day. I want to recommend you guys some virtual instruments pod. Oy, kasyong. Sige. Nakoy mga plugins pod diriya actually. If you can see, these are my personal plugins na nadriya, of course. So when we talk about virtual instruments mong good, these are actually not just instruments, but these are also effects na magamit ninyo sa inyong pagmix o sa inyong pagmaster sa inyong songs or just different kinds of tracks in general, you know. So with virtual instruments man pod, medyo i-emphasize na ko siya as instruments because of the use of MIDI controllers. Akong keyboard actually buti na lang na siya MIDI nga option para makagamit ko og virtual instruments sa Ableton Live. Good. Pero sige, I'm gonna recommend you guys this Roland keyboard collection na what's it called? Ayan. I'm not so sure if makita ninyo. Ayun, makita gid ninyo. Ayan. So I put this Juno 106 synth in MIDI track. So of course, let's try it out. This is gonna be a synth sound sa basig ko sa kayo. Ayan. So I don't know asan ako nagikuha ning mga Roland ang keyboards, pero these really helped me in looking for sounds that I really want, especially kanang mga synthy sounds, mga 80s sounds. So for example, let's use an 80s lead. Ayan, di ba? Kuya kayo siya. So, I recommend Roland keyboards. Another thing that virtual instruments that I can recommend is guitar rig. Wait lang ha. Let me insert an audio track. So, naiuban VSTs na you don't need MIDI controllers. So, for example, let me recommend to you guys Helix Native. Basically, the Helix Native is the digital version of the Line 6 amp by Helix pod. So let me look for a mangita ko og guitar na audio diri. Asa naman tong audio na guitar diri ay? Nag-sense ako. Ayun. So let me just import this one into Ableton Live. So ayan. So hinayon ako ni gamay ha para dili ka siya kusog. Asa na to eh? Hinayon lang na ko ni siya para dili ka siya kusog. Ayan. So kani siya. Clean guitar ni siya. Without, or it's just the raw guitar na gisend sa kuha by my friend. So if you listen to it first, clean siya na. Clean guitar sound lang siya. So meaning wala siya effects. Pero I have the Helix Native virtual instrument plugged in, and I'm able to pick any kind of effect na pwede na ko gusto gamiton on this audio track, and it will change the sound of the original track. Balik na siya. Compare na to. Siya mili ko bag-o Jazz Rivet 120. Ayan, again same. Tapos pwede ko mag-adjust diri. Basically ngana siya, ngana ang use of virtual instruments. So yun, kato pa lang ako ma-recommend sa inyo ha guys, no. Okay, so mo lang to siya for our hardware and software. I will be showing you a diagram of how all of these come together, kaning hardware. Okay? So ayan. So kung makita niyo sa diagram guys, nasa to nga ang audio interface because it is the bridge to everything manggod. No, so the audio interface is USB connected to your laptop, which is also kanang detected by your DAW. And of course, the microphone, your instruments, and everything, even the studio monitors are plugged into the audio interface. Diba? So, ang front side of the Scarlett is the input, the back side would be the output. So, muna na speakers. And okay lang po if wala speakers because you can, ang isa pod ka output mong diri, kaning gamay diri kaning gamay diri ang part sa Scarlett is the output for headphones. So okay lang na wala kay speaker. So this is basically a very simple setup for home producing. We're done. Charot, wala pa bitaw. Pero yeah, ayun. So moto siya. Now that we have the equipment, now that we have the software and stuff, so how do we actually produce? How to actually produce? It's kind of a very it's a hard question to answer. It's also a very easy question to answer, but there's actually no in between. Pero when you look up Mongod, when you look up like how to produce for beginners on Google, mostly ang imo makita is do you need to learn music theory? This is always the question I have to deal with, Mongod, especially when I am kanang in the academe of music. But the answer will always be yes and no. Yes, in a sense that you do need to learn music theory, because it's basically it's very essential, Mongod, no? It's very essential for music production. Kaya of course, unsaon man ninyo paghimo og music ninyo kung wala mo kabalo unsaon pag like unsa man pag construct og chords, Itang ha. So saan ninyo pag kung himo pag compose og kanta kung dili mo kabalo mo chords, diba? Something like that. How can you construct different kinds of harmony without learning basic music theory? How can you even construct a melody without music theory, diba? So yes, but actually no. No, in a sense that you don't need a degree. You don't need a degree to learn music theory. You don't need to go to school to learn music, actually. You just need to find the discipline to learn it for yourself if ingana ang imo option. Diba? So mo lang na ako maingon. It's either yes and no. And actually, when it comes to music production pod, medyo na-discourage ko gamay. No, it's because I've been seeing these I've been seeing these kanang mga ads on YouTube specifically that they are selling what we call MIDI sample packs. Basically, these are just pre-made chords or chord progressions or arpeggios or melodic lines tapos ibaligya sa imuha. Why is that? It's so outrageous, di ba nga? Gibaligyaan ka og C major. Imagine na, gibaligyan kag C major for $69. I can just do this for free, diba? You can just do that for free if you could just take time to learn it, diba? So arpeggios, diba? So muna siya, there is sometimes a shortcut is not a good thing, diba? Okay, if you encourage buying or ripping off MIDI sample packs, malimit ka sa unsay available sa imuha. O kay since naanad na kaanang naa sa imuha ang atubangan, wala na nun kay space to improve, wala kay space to explore, diba? Kay mahadlok na mo ka basig mali, diba? $69 for a C major chord. And I can even do better by playing a C major 7 add 9 chord for free. It's a different thing, but yeah, again, yes and no to music theory. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, how do we produce? So of course, unsa may i-produce nato, of course you're gonna make a song, you have to create a song. So I'm not gonna be talking about how to create a song. It should be it's a whole different kind of topic namang good. So nana na sa inyo, but there are some tips na akong gibutang diri. So of course, learn about song structures. So song structures are basically structures of a song. Structure of a song. And the most common structure for pop songs are first kay intro, next kay verse, next would be pre-chorus, next would be chorus, and then it's either balikon nimo ang verse or mag-verse 2 ka, another pre-chorus, another chorus, and then it's either the bridge or mag-solo kanang ad-lib, and then balik sa pre-chorus or diretso sa chorus, and then outro. Very basic structure, diba? And what I would like you guys to do is listen to your favorite song. Listen to your favorite pop song and try to figure out kung unsay lahang structure, like unsa ni siya dapat nga lyric. Is it the verse? Unsa ni siya dapat nga lyric? Pre-chorus ni siya or chorus ni siya? Just a fun little exercise para sa inyo ha. Kay again, ginabalik-balik jud nako ang listen to the song that you want to make para makuha ninyo dito basig na mo structure nga ganahan mo, diba? So masundog ninyo sa inyong sariling production, diba? Again, I'm so sorry good sa aircon, ambot na say nasaya but ka nagasigaw. So ayun, so next is consider using rhyme schemes. Again, I'm not gonna discuss that further. That is elementary grade stuff. So AAAA, AABB, AABA. Kamu na bahala na guys. Saan na ninyo. So, yun. Next is songwriting is the same as storytelling. It's very important for you to have this kind of mindset when it comes to songwriting. I admit myself, I'm not really that well versed pag yun, like dili pa kay ko kabalo kaayo mag storytelling when it comes to songwriting, pero it really helps mong when you listen to songs. I cannot stress this enough. Listen to music, guys, kay makatuon man gud mo dito. Like you can't just magically write a very inspiring lyric like out of the blue. Like mangita jud mag inspiration, which leads me to my last point. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. And this is the most misinterpreted quote ever, because ang pasabot man gud ani is it's not literally nga nangawat ka, okay? But what that means is that you may not be the first to try something or to do something, but you have to do it so well to the point nga murag naimo na siya, diba? So what I understand about this is that it's not so bad man jud di ay nga makapangopya ka. It's not really kopya man gud ang word. It's not sundog, is not the word, but reference, inspired by ana good. And the essence of making it original is that you take this inspiration from someone else and then you put yourself into that. That's what makes it original. That's what makes it yours. I hope I'm making sense because that's what I understand from it. And yeah, yun. The essence of just working on this inspiration that you've gotten from someone else and then putting your whole being into that work of art. That is what makes it original. That's what makes it yours. So muna siya ang pasabot sa quote, philosophy. Next is understand how orchestration and arrangement works. So orchestration is about knowing which instruments come together to form a band. Each plays a specific role in the frequency spectrum and are chosen to not clash with each other sonically. Okay, so maghatag og example. The Beatles, upat sila kabog. So John Lennon is the guitarist or nagapiano siya, parang sa. Ringo Starr, the drummer. Paul McCartney is the bassist, and the George Harrison is another guitarist. So why are they so popular in their time? Like kung maminaw ko silang kanta ko rin, it's so simple. Like it's so dali, like nga na lang ilang kanta pero simple ra pud kailang chords. Although simple kailang music pero it's very inspiring. But what made them so popular? What made them be pop icons of their time? It's because dili sila yagaw. They fit together perfectly. They fit together and they complement each other sonically. because ang ilahang instruments dili man naga-clash with each other. Diba sir? For example, nagoy naga-clash with different roles, like for example, rhythm guitar and lead guitar, kick versus bass. Pero you as a producer manggod, you have to understand how these relationships work, no, like not just the person, like not literally the person, but the sound, the sound, how they work with other type of sound, like for example the kick drum and the bass guitar, dapat magsunod yun ang kick drum ug ang bass kay para boom 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 jud, di ba? So that's what makes the Beatles sound good, because dili sila nagka-clash, di ba? So for example, si George Harrison ug si John Lennon nagplay sila og the same chord. For example, si John Lennon diri siya nag C major. Diri siya sa baba ng C major. Ana gud. Dili pod pwede nga si George Harrison mo play pod og the same type of notes. Kay wala na. Although they are playing the same chord, dili na siya dynamic paminawon. What if magplay si John Lennon og ingani diri sa baba? Tapos si George Harrison magplay og ingani diri sa taas. Di dapat. Or diba? So, siya tension, it's because of the chord, pero sonically speaking, in the frequency spectrum, wala sila nag-clash because lahi ila ang frequencies nga ilang gitouch. So, siya. So next is arrangement. So arrangement refers to when each of the instruments in your orchestration are actually playing or not. Knowing when to drop them out and bring them back in can add a level of excitement and life to your songs, upping the energy levels during certain parts like the chorus. So this is the part where ibalik na po nako og mention ang listen to the music that you want to produce. It's because dra ninyo makuha again kung songwriting makuha ninyo, kung ang song structure ninyo makuha ninyo, kung ang mix makuha ninyo dito, ang arrangement sad inyo makuha, di ba? Ma-inspire mo nga kabalo ko ani nga kung tahay punk rock or rock in general or punk rock nga kanang Avril Lavigne type of songs, kay sa intro kay samo kayo like bulo jud ang electric guitar and lead guitar, tas pagabot sa verse kay mo muhunong di ba kanang ang drums pod kay kanang mo lay back siya gamay pagabot sa verse, tas pagabot og pre-chorus dira na mo bulo, tapos dang track, tapos chorus ana na kanang nagets niyo kung point, guys, no? Dili na ko siya ma-describe in words, pero kanang ingana siya, di ba? I can't stress enough the importance of listening to music jud for reference. Basically mo na ko pasabot. All right. So next, mixing and mastering. So the crucial part in producing, So mixing is the art of balancing the variance of volume levels, positioning in the stereo field, and the clarity of each instrument. Ayan. So mixing, basically ang pagsabot ana is gitimpla nimo. Gi-translate lang ako. Gitimpla ninyo ang each individual tracks sa inyong project or sa inyong session for it to sound good and at the same time to sound as one. Good. So dira na magmatter ang pagbutang og effects, pagbutang og kanang pagbutang og mga EQ, mga compressor, whatsoever, stuff like that. Good. So mixing is the most crucial part. It's because it's not about good. You're not just listening to your song, good, The purpose of this talk and the purpose of producing and recording is for us to put them out there, diba? And to have a good mix is important because you're not just listening to your own song over and over again. Of course, other people should listen to your own song, guys. Good. And to master mixing is to just keep doing it, good. So if na if your first project you think na this is such a good mix, then go post it. And then when your next project mix na pud ka, medyo nalahi na yung paminaw compared sa yung first mix, okay, I will correct the mistakes na ako nahimo sa first mix in the second mix of this project. Release na po na nimo or post na po nimo until magbalik-balik na siya, until na-joy solid na improvement ka, no, na-joy kayo solid na improvement sa imong journey, sa imong pag sige practice og mix ana good. And actually mastering pod, sa the goal here is kanang sa mastering gamay na lang imong buhaton kanang i-compress na lang gamay ang whole mix nimo para dili kay siya kusog, walay maglabaw nga volumes, tapos gamay lang nga EQ, gamay lang jud, like super finishing touches. Kay a good mix will need only a little bit of mastering mong good, ana lang jud siya, you know. So yun, so ang nakabutang diri is this can literally make or break a song, so you should take it seriously. Now, how do we mix? That is the question for tonight, for today, for this day. Ayan. Balik ko na ako ni. Okay. Actually, wala na ko siyang balik, pero kagets mo sa kung pasabot. Listen to reference tracks. Listen to the music that you want to make. Ganun balik-balik manli. Sa muka. Oy. It's because, guys, no sugarcoating. Walay mix nga gwapo nga mahitabo first time, walay nga na, you know, walay ka nang mabuhi rag kalit ka nang maanak ra nimo og kalit na mix, and mo na nimong gamiton every day. Kay maski ani mo guna siya, maski you want to produce a certain type of genre, dili pasabot nga same ra pud imong mix sa tanan na kanta na mo produce ana good. Ako, I produce a cappella music, pero it's not all the time nga parehas ko og mix. Actually, kanang I will always start from scratch. I will always start from the beginning. Like wala ko'y ginasave nga presets actually. And sa mga previous projects ako makalimot ko unsa man unsa nila ako pag mix, kana man naglisod naman ko nga gwapo man kito sa una. And I have to find that all over again every time I mix a new project. Ana good. So it's so important for you to listen, no, and use your ears, ana jud, because your ears, nakalimot ko ingon from the beginning, your ears is the most important instrument for this whole endeavor of music production, you know. Kay once you think that a mix for you sounds good, it will sound good, and then eventually you will learn from your mistakes, you will evaluate if it really did sound good, and then makatuon na ka, you know, basically. You know, I sound like mura ko gubog, pero I'm spitting truths here, diba? Because this will be your map to your treasure, manggod. Like listening to reference tracks, this will be your map to the treasure, which is a godly ultimate mix. Ganyan. Okay, so di na ako napalugayan. Okay, so how do we actually mix? How do we mix? I will show you some technical mga buhaton para mag-mix mo. Okay? Gamay na lang tag-time actually. I'm so sorry, pero unta ma-extend pa. Pero first, gain staging. Gain staging is the process of making sure that the audio is set to an optimal level for the next processor in the chain in order to minimize noise and distortion. Basically, you have to kanang set an optimal kanang volume sa inyong each track para like walay maglabaw, walay malubong in the mix. Ana. Dapat same lang jud og volume tanan. Okay? And actually depende po na siya sa arrangement, diba? So for example, kung for example sa a cappella music with me, harmony lang man tanan, diba? Harmony lang tanan ang nasa likod. So dapat parehas tanan og level ang harmony, pero mas patasan pa nato gamay ang nag-solo atong kanta, diba? Of course, very basic, very say tawagan niya very obvious. Diba? So, ako example ana na ano na nako na say tawag ani na gain stage na ko nga project is kadjot lang ha. Ako example na gain stage na ko nga project is actually it's still my favorite mix until now. Ambot ganahan jud kay ko ani nga mix. Pero it's my song. It's my cover of Just the Two of Us with my friends. Okay, so let me just screen share this to you guys. Ayan. So, maminaw lang sa takadiyot ha.
See the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through, yeah. To make those rainbows in my mind when I think.
Okay, skip na to dara nga part. Gusto na ko paminawon ang kanang naana tanan harmony with my friends, with my classmates. Okay, so para makasabot mas akong pasabot.
Just we look full of no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait.
O, diba? Kung nabantayan ninyo guys, katong si naka-red ka ganina, diba nag-solo siya. Tapos ni-insert siya sa harmony. And akong gibuhat dito is, katong ni part nga ni una siya, katong the part nga ni una siya, gipantay na ko ang iyang volume with the other backup singers para mupilit sila sa harmony. Ana good, mupilit sila ilahang mo-blend gud ilang voices tapos mupilit pa gid ang harmony. Diba? So, kung madungog ninyo,
good things might come to those who wait, not for those who wait too late.
ayan, wala. Flex lang na nako slide. Diba? So, muna siya kung pasabot like the importance of gain staging. Diba? Para dili mo maglisod, ang importante mong good aning gain staging is dili mo maglisod when it comes to kanang mabutang na ninyo ang effects. Kaya if mabutang naman gud ninyo effects tapos dili kay ninyo mag-gain stage na maklaro gyud ang kanang kung nabay naglabaw or kung nabay kanang nalubong sa mix. Ano good? Muna siya. So next, equalization. Is easily my favorite nga buhatonon when it comes to mixing. EQ stands for equalization, and it's basically for us to manipulate the frequency content of your recordings and help all of the elements of your production work together sonically. Ayan. So, to EQ means a lot of things. So, for me, as a vocal producer kanang sa a cappella music, it's important for me to know kung unsay dapat EQ pattern sa, for example, soprano na voice. Lahi ang EQ pattern sa soprano na voice, sa tenor na voice, sa bass na voice. O dapat kabulo ko kung asa dapat nga frequencies akong gusto na kwaon, ana, diba? Kaya para mapantay-pantay na ako sila tanan, diba? Mapantay-pantay na ako sila tanan. So, let me pull out a project 3A. Now, wala pa actually na ako na mix, pero I want to demonstrate this to you guys. Okay, para magets ninyo kung pasabot. Diba? So, let me share Ableton Live sa inyo ha. Ayan. So, wala pa na ako siya na mix. Pasensya sa auto-tune. Wala pa po na ako siya na gain stage. Actually, unfortunately, wala pa dyan ko nag-start. Pero, let's just listen for it a bit. This is me and this is P Square. You know, apel ko. Og ako ang nag-solo.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all.
Ayan. So, wala pa siya na mix, no? Wala pa ka siya na gain stage, o wala pa dyan siya na EQ. So, if we listen to my audio, kana ako lang,
you can lose sight of it all, in the darkness inside you can make you feel so small.
ayan. if you could just look past the auto-tune, ingana jud ko mix mabutan jud ko auto-tune before. Pero if you could just look past the auto-tune and describe the quality of that audio, medyo bassy pa siya paminawon, which is something na dili pwede kay ano man ko, soloist man ko ani nga song. And dapat i-boost nako ang certain frequencies nako diri og magkuha pud kog certain frequencies diri. So this is what I do. I do subtractive EQ. It means I do subtractive EQ plus additive EQ. It means that I am removing and also adding some frequencies na dili nako gusto o gusto nako sa isa nako ka vocal recording. So for example, subtractive EQ. Kuha nako ang bass na sound. Maghimo ko low pass filter, high pass filter diri, meaning ginakuha nako ang frequencies diri adapita ng area. Pangitaan nako.
You can lose sight of it all in the darkness.
No, if you can just look diri sa baba, no?
You can lose sight of it all in the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true.
Ayan, so yung ani ko mix, sorry nahilom ko. Yung ani ko mumix ako ang vocal nga kana solo nga audio. So kaning nasa baba diri gikuan ako ni diri ang frequency dapit because dili ko gusto makadungog og nakusog kayo. Plus gikuan po nako diri adapita nga frequencies diri sa area dapita kay dili ko gusto makadungog og bassy kay nga sound nako kay solo man ko diri. So it means dapat mo stand out ang ako ang vocals kay nagsolo man ko. Dili dapat ko part sa harmony, although dapat part ko sa harmony, like mo pilit gyapon ko sila, but in the essence na kanang maklaro sa listeners nga siya ang nagsolo, ana gud siya. So basically mula siya ang mag EQ. Okay, next is pitch correction. Pitch correction is my favorite thing of all kay basically I can't really say it's cheating because real talk lang for a bit, no. Using auto tune and using pitch correction, it depends. It really depends on it depends on the purpose nganong magbutang og auto tune or EQ. For rappers like sa hip hop, auto tune has become such a staple nga kanang part na siya sa yang sound. It's not just because yabag sila. It's actually just because it's part of the sound na ang auto tune. And with pitch correction, it actually really helps me. It helps me correct, sa mga sharps and flats nako na sa ko recording, kay ako man good when mag-record ko, sometimes dili nako i-mind ang yabag as long as makanta nako siya og tarong, kay eventually ma-pitch correct ra man gud nako ang yabag, good. So I don't really use auto-tune. Ginabutangan lang ako auto-tune ako mga tracks para makabalo ko kung asa nga parts ang dili day kayo yabag, good. Para kung makadungog ko og kanang pagmukurog na gani ang akong tingog sa auto-tune, pasabot o sabunan na ako siya nga vocal og record. So man na siya. Again, sorry kaayo jud sa akong aircon kalagot. Next, compression. Now compression keeps the vocal or the audio signal or the audio track at the right level throughout the tune, or lets them jump out of the mix a little better without being louder. Ayan. So compression, from the name itself, compress. I-compress niya ang tibuok audio na track para mapantay ang volume niya, And important din siya especially for pop music kay although nagagamit gud gyapon og dynamics ang pop music, dili man gud siya ing ana kahalata jud. Kanang it's important for us to compress, like even final mixes like sa mastering, it's important for us to compress para ma-keep nato siya at a certain level na dili kay siya kusog paminawon, especially pag i-stream na siya sa mga streaming sites, So pag mag-mix pud kag classical nga music, dili pud ka pwede magbutang og compression kay nga naman matanggal man gud ang dynamics, and dynamics is very important ba in classical music. But it's okay, sige lang. I guess wala man siguro yung mag-mix of classical music dra. It's just something I learned while working on my recital. You know, nagbutang kog compressor sa ako ang classical guitar og nawala jud akong mga dynamics. So, yan. Next is panning. Ayan, panning. It's basically manipulating the stereo with like ang stereo meaning kanang duha ka speakers gid ang gigamit like left and right or different parts of the mix is a processing technique that's central to contemporary mixing. Ayan. So, stereo width processing can make a lead vocal sound huge in a chorus or move a synth pad to the far reaches of a stereo field. So, basically, if you want a sound to go to the left or to the right, magbuhat na ninyo sa inyong do. So, let me just give you an example, no? Okay. So, kung nabantayan ninyo dito sa left, makita ninyo ni C. Diba? C. So, it means naka-center ni tanan tracks nako. Pero what I do man good with a cappella music is that akong gina-center lang ang main vocal o ang bass. Okay? Dili pwede left and right ang bass kay ano man, that's so weird. So kung ginahimo is gina-alternate na ako or depende sa ako. Okay? So let's listen to this part. Let's listen to this part nga naka-center lang tanan. Okay? So dali lang ta.
True colors are beautiful, beautiful like a rainbow.
Ayan. Again, please ignore the auto-tune. So, naka-center sa tanan, no? Wala pa na sila naka-mix. What if i-alternate na ko left and right ang uban ka tracks diri sa tunga? Left and right na ko niya, ha? Oops, namali ko. Okay. Left na ko ang duha. Right na ko ang the rest. Now, what would the difference be if we listen to the same part na naka-pan ang upat ka tracks?
True colors are beautiful, beautiful like a rainbow.
Compared sa center lang sila tanan, mas loose na paminawon o mas wide na paminawon ang arrangement. Kaya nga naman, na-separate man ako slightly ang uban harmonies. Nabulag na ako siya sa left o right pan, which makes it kanang nabutangan na nun og space sa tunga para malabay dito ang bass o ang lead vocal. Og loose na siya paminawon. Compared atong center lang sila tanan, nasa sila sa tunga which is very yagaw na. So very yagaw na, di ba? So wala na ta mo na ingnan nga mag your headphones, pero yeah, that's basically the effect of panning. So yun, let's proceed to the presentation. Last but not least, reverb and delay. Ayan. So reverb recreates the sonic activity to give listeners the impression that the sounds they are hearing were recorded in a naturally reverberant space. Ayan, so reverb basically murag na ay naga-echo or na ay kanang nabilin nga sound after a sound is produced. Pero ang delay, lahi po ang delay. Kana noon ang echo, ang delay. So delays, they capture an audio source and repeat it back one or more times shortly after the original sound. So ayan, the repeats are discrete and depending on the plug-in, they typically get quieter over time. How do you use reverb and delay? So, akong example ani is, let me pull out an example, ha. My example for a reverb and delay na effect is my song called Maskin Pa. Let's fast forward gamay. use headphones para madungog ninyo.
Ngano man ko mabalaga, ngano man ko matingala.
Okay, so kung nabantayan ninyo dapita, especially sa first part, madungog ninyo ang ngano man ko mabalaga, balaga, balaga. Dala na gigamit ang delay. O kung nabantayan ninyo nagadagandagan ang vocal, di ba? Kay nagagamit kog plug-in nga it messes with the panning. So muna nagadagandagan ang vocal from left to right. Tapos it has reverb pod at the same time. So dala na ko gi-utilize na ko ang tulo ka elements or katong tulo ka akong bago lang gi-describe kaganina into this kind of thing sa part of the song. Kay gusto mong gud nako nga medyo ethereal siya paminawon, light siya paminawon. Gusto nako nga yung ana kay para inspirational naman nga song akong gihimo good. So dili ko gusto nga tight siya paminawon, tight, aggressive. So mo nang gamitan ako reverb, delay and panning at the same time. So let's listen to it again. So, and mind the three components na ako ang gi-discuss.
Ngano man ko ngano man ko mabalaga, ngano man ko matingala.
Okay, so mo na to siya. Ay na maghilak. The joke. So, mo to siya guys, ang akong paggamit sa reverb, delay og panning pod. Okay, sige. So, those are basically the very basic stuff no na maano na to magamit ninyo when it comes to mixing and mastering your tracks. Okay, so dili na kayo na ko explain further kay ano na siya, taas na kaya siya nga topic, pero it's always important for everyone to explore. Alright, so yan, next is production tips and tricks. Ayan, so medyo taas na kayo atong mas discussion no, unta okay lang ni production tips and tricks. So duha lang ni siya actually. So first is looping. Looping is, ako pasabot sa looping is dili ka ng live looping ha, pero kanang to start a track mong good, it's always a good idea sometimes to loop your drums and bass, so your chord progression ana kung sa gusto ninyo. Ay, okay, wala na siyang tingog. Ana good. So looping helps you in a way na kanang makahuna-huna pa mo, like mo man jud gud na ang start when you try to kanang create a song na music ang first, maghuna-huna sa jud mo sa chord progression, maghuna-huna pa mo sa drum beat, maghuna-huna pa mo sa bass, o mag-i-loop sa ninyo na tanan hantod makahuna-huna na mo og structure along the way. And it's a good start, but always remember that dili pud kaayo gamit ang mag-loop when you are creating the structure of the whole song. Kay a whole song should be linear baya, like dili siya mo loop, like ang elements niya is dili mo loop, like kani sa first chorus ni balik na siya sa second chorus gyapon nga elements, like give it some variation pod when you are actually creating the whole structure of the song. Alright, so yun, last but not the least is sampling. So music sampling is the process by which a musician or record producer uses a portion of an existing song in a brand new recording. Ayan. So I want to confess something to you guys. No? I actually sample din. Okay? I actually sample din. So kung nabantayan niyo ganin sa Just the Two of Us, buto ka yung beatbox. Nganong na pull off ko na siya nga effect, it's because I sampled actual beatbox tracks pod manggod. And sampling is kind of, sometimes it's a very scary thing to do kay basig masakpan mo gud ka, pero kani manggod ako is nagisample na ko ning beatbox tracks from Pentatonix na beatbox. So if i-play nako ni siya sa inyo ha guys, play nako ning beatbox nako diri sa isa project nako diri with the beatbox samples na akong gigamit. Okay, and 'di ba? By using samples man good, it makes it so consistent. It makes it seem like it's real. It's kind of cheating pero not really, because ang goal man good nato diri is to really produce a authentic sound. And with this kind man good, actually gi-mix man po nako ni siya gamay. So mo nang gamit kaysa ako mag-sample. So mo na akong confession, pero nag-record gyud kog beatbox na ako. It's just that not all of it is used. So my beatbox are heavily sampled. So yun mo ni siya. Diba?
Dirty, but I hit right back 'cause you got that, yeah. Why you always wanna act like lovers, but you never wanna be each other's?
So ana siya, mo na siya guys ang akong akong take on sampling, di ba? So again, you can always do that. Kamo bahala sa inyo pag-sample. I haven't really sampled a lot of things, ingato lang man. Justin Bieber's song Peaches, the piano part was sampled from his demo video of him singing the song with the piano. Actually, Chick Corea Spain the intro of Spain was sampled. Actually, I can't call it sampled, but he just played the second movement from Joaquin Rodrigo's Concierto de Aranjuez. So you can just look that up by yourself. Pero ano siya. So tapos kato kaganina nagsample ko og beatbox from Pentatonix. So yun. I am guilty of that. So final words of wisdom, Chares. Okay, so gamay na lang nako ni kay almost 2 hours naman data no. So first is always ask for feedback. Do not always think that you have created a perfect mix. Ana lagi. So it's very ironic no nga when you think the mix is good, it means it's good. Pero it's just be always open to criticism, you know, whenever you are asking for feedback, because that's how you grow man good, you know. And if ma-offend man good mo dayon, very cliche, pero if ma-offend man good mo dayon, then saan niyo pagtuon? Kung ma-offend mo, dili na noon mo gusto mong padayon, di ba? So it's a lose-lose situation sa imuha ug sa imuhang gina-pursue nga goal, di ba? So next is never just rely on your ears. It's so ironic kay I just literally said to everyone nga your ears is the most important instrument in music production, but actually it's true. Not just your ears man good, but also other people's ears. Mo nang it's important for you to ask for feedback, like basig na kay producer friend or basig na lang kay friend nga how I like gusto maminaw og music, or tapos okay ingnan ni mga bay pwede ka maminaw ani, tapos pwede ko nimo i-feedback, pwede ko nimo hatagan og feedback, ako din nag-mix ani, ako nag-arrange ani, something like that. Tapos kung ganahan sila, then that's good. Tapos kung nasa feedback kamay, then that's even better, di ba? Kay you take note of those things, and that will just make you and make your output a whole lot better, you know. So and last but not the least, of course, practice. Wala man jud lain no, mo jud niya music guys, mag-practice lang yun, sige practice sa muka pero how can you get good results without, you know, doing the same thing all over again? No, repetition legitimizes, by Adam Neely, and it's true. Like every time, if you do it every time, the more you do it, the more you get better at it, diba? So I just don't have anything more to say about that, you know. So moto siya actually, and I again I thank you so much no for listening to this whole hour and more than a half hour talk. I'm so sorry if na sobraan ko. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity. um, Unta na mo natun-an maski gamay lang gikan sa kuha, and I still have a lot to learn. And para sa inyo nga mga aspiring na bedroom producers dia, please padayon mo, no, ipadayon mo, or kung you have a strong passion jud nga gusto mo mag-ingani, go guys, and support lang jud ko kung unsa mo inyohang gusto, like unsang klase nga genre, unsang klase inyong journey. Pero if you want any help, please don't hesitate to ask me, no. I will try my best to really help you out. And yun, again, thank you so much. And let me just plug my social media and stuff, no. So wala siya, guys. And also, can I just plug this one, shameless plug? I just mentioned, di ba nga, I'm gonna be graduating in June, and I will be having before that, I will be having my graduation recital. It will just be a virtual graduation recital. It will be on May 20, and it will be on my official Facebook page. So makita na niyo, it's Richmond official. And unta na mo dito, no? So please do check out my YouTube boot and Spotify and Instagram. It's just Richmond. And yun, again, thank you so much. And I will be catering some questions now by the present me, because I'm already past me. And